We're almost at the end game, kind of, really. We're getting close to Moonlord, as my memory serves. We are getting there, but of course, Infernum and Calamity had a bunch of roadblocks in the way, and it's a really mixed bag. Sometimes I'm up against fights that I think this is impossible. I don't know how you're supposed to survive. And then it kind of comes together. One thing I'm noticing is that despite the horror show that are some of these bosses, like, it's just infinite nightmares, they're kind of fair, at least for now. They're kind of fair. They work things in to, like, oh, well, if you see the solution, and that's where I think it comes down to players. Like, some players will find the solution easily, some players won't, but once you find the solve, you're kind of okay, and you can take some bits of chip damage, but there's long periods of recovery if you have the solve for most of the attacks, right? For most of the attacks. And with a bit of practice, it comes down. So I've had a wild swing in pull counts. We're currently running the clown pool, which is predictions on how long it would take. And it keeps shifting because there are bosses that people are like, that one's going to screw him up really badly. And it doesn't. And I think he's going to kill this one really quickly. And it doesn't work that way either. So it comes out as a sort of mixed bag of what the hell is going on. So we're doing 2 days worth of TDPs in one here because we did tons of stuff. There's so much that's in my brain that I want to get done. Firstly is the ore that's in the sort of, not brimstone, I don't know really what it's called. It's like a space area on the surface. This ore is unmineable and has been there forever. It's definitely something really good. And I can't get it. No matter how much I upgrade my picks and mining and stuff, I still cannot get it. And it's been there since the beginning of the game. And then there's new stuff that arrives after you kill every single boss. So although I am using a wiki because of the thousands of items in the game in order to sort of make sure we're getting the, reasonably good stuff or what is available to us at the time, it's difficult because every boss you kill actually adds something to the pool that you can get. And so you're like checking and you get a new resource, new material, something like that. The Abyss is one that's been really plaguing me. I've been down to the Abyss a couple of times because I constantly get items that are like, hey, keep you hidden in the Abyss, help you breathe in the Abyss. And I still can't really do anything down there but die. I did go all the way to the bottom and a giant worm just killed me. There's some horrible things lurking down in the Abyss. So our main goals were some of the big wall bosses of the vanilla game, because that's what I know. So that's Plantera and Golem. That's where I was up to. And in between there, we were going to do a whole bunch of other bosses, which were a real mixed bag. The Calamitous Clone was a new one that was added with Calamity. I killed that on like the second or third pull. That was like really, really easy. Plantera, though. Plantera was tricky, but what a beautifully designed fight. Plantera is really slow. And you're so used to bullet hells by this point of just madness and chaos on the screen and having to move at like 1,000 miles an hour in order to not get hit. And then Plantera changes the script entirely and just goes really slow once you stay close and makes these really enclosed rooms within the room itself. It'll create them with spores and stuff like that. And you've got to sort of like float just inches from the boss and just sort of gentle hops to get out. So initially I started by moving really rapidly because that's what I'd been used to. And then slowly it came to be that don't do that. Go nice and slow. Stay really close. But it gets brutal towards the end where I had to learn the final phase. The final phase is probably the most difficult, I think. Not only does it change from splitting the room into quadrants, it changes them into like a full pie chart of things, but locks you into those rooms as well, while simultaneously doing these lock-on attacks that actually track where you are, but then it shifts very quickly because it's got a green attack and a pink attack. And the pink attack are explosions, like grenades, that go off in all different directions. They will lock on, though, and you have, this is the learning bit I really like. It will target, it shoots 3 bullets, but the middle bullet will always aim where you are, and the 2 will be at the sides of it. So they are going towards you. But it fills the entire arena with them. But they go off in different stages. So it's like bomb 1, bomb 2, bomb 3. So I had to learn, like, okay, jump out of the first one, because they're all going to be sort of tracking the general location I was in. Get out of there quick, but then come back. And that allows the ones that are going to blow up in a different part of the room to spread before they actually reach you. Bringing down Plantera was a big one. This was a major step forward. Was really proud of that kill. Not as proud as what's coming up, though. So there was a bunch of bosses here that I didn't do. Astrum, Aureus. I thought this was going to be harder than it was because it's brutal, really fast, missiles shooting everywhere, laser beams, but actually it was pretty well telegraphed, and so I managed to bring that down rather quickly. Anahita and the Leviathan. This is probably the most beautiful fight I've done so far. A really wonderful soundtrack. Little frustrating, though. A little frustrating because this giant whale appears. The Leviathan is a giant whale. And its hitbox is massive. Up until now, I've been able to ram dash through charging bosses because you take no contact damage if you're in the middle of a dash. So I've been able to like dash backwards and forwards through charging bosses, and a lot of them do the charge. This one, not so much. His hitbox is too big. And it's really quite frustrating. This fight is not difficult either. It's one of those fights that's not difficult, but it does so much damage that you make a mistake, you're just dead. You're just dead. And it took me a lot. I think it was like 17 tries to bring this thing down. I kept getting it very, very low, and then something just killed me to get out of there. But our next stop, I thought, after looking at everything, was like, Golem. Golem's a big one. The temple. Golem was as far as I know, it's one of the, like, just close to Moonlord bosses. Golem was, like, towards the end of our original Master Mode blind playthrough. And I was dreading this. And it has a really interesting twist. So I got down to the temple. And then I built a couple of platforms. And I put down my boss fighting arena setup. So, you know, a bass statue, heart lantern, campfire, heart statue. Got them all ready and raring to go. Pulled the boss. And it just destroys everything in the room. There's no building allowed. I was like, that is kind of a cool gimmick. You can't use your Terraria powers, which is the fact that you can construct your own arenas and you can provide yourself all these benefits and, you know, portals and things like that. You can do all that in the game. And Golem says, no, there'll be none of that. You're going to fight this raw. That scared me a bit, guys. That really scared me. I was like, oh, I'm missing a lot of the passive support that I've been very used to. It looked almost undoable. He has so much HP. Like a crazy amount of health. And I'm using pretty much the best weapons you can get and the best gear. I'm not reforged for damage, but it's a lot of health. And I was like, oh my god, like we're not doing any damage. And I was already thinking I need to... But what I like to do is do a few tries, get a feel for the fight. I'm not worried about killing it. I'm just getting a general feel for this fight. And then we can think about what we want to do to alter our setup or something like that. But I want to get used to the dodging and stuff. There's no weapon that's going to like one-shot it or something. So I was doing that and started getting really far into the fight and started to realize how it works. Now, one of the biggest tricks this fight does is actually remove the floor. So you can't build platforms and it removes the floor. It fills it with spikes. And that means your wings are not going to be able to carry you very far, right? You're going to run out of flight time very, very quickly. And so that's when hook tech came in, because you can hook to the walls and that will reset your flight time. And what actually turned out is, in a weird way, it has these, like, rising platforms that you'll have seen in many things that is, I guess, they're sort of bait. Initially, they're like, oh, you can stand on these platforms and maybe hop between them, and that will provide you somewhere to reset your flight. But as you get better at the fight, they're actually a problem, because you can control yourself with hooks and things like that. And so they actually hurt me. I took more damage because of these platforms than the boss itself, because I would be in a position where I'm solid and I'm like shooting into the boss and I'm safe, and then a platform would actually like come underneath me and push me up into a bad position. It was really funny how it worked out that way. But again, very fair, because there were good places to regen. Once you learned, he's only got like 4 or 5 attacks. Once you know what to do with them, you're pretty comfy in the fight. How to float, how to get away from his giant laser and all that kind of stuff, and really sort of locked in here. Killed it really quickly. I think it was like 4 or 5 pulls. But the worst thing ever, and a lot of the viewers who are Terraria veterans had never seen this before. His room is so big that he can actually jump to a place where he despawns himself. And that happened when he had like 10% HP left. It was brutal. It was the worst experience ever, as he just disappeared and I was left in shock because I was really locked in. We are in a great pull. I had great HP. And the boss was going to die. And he just despawned himself and just vanished out of the earth. I was like, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever. The absolute worst thing ever. But with Golem down, it was time to move on. I had to do a few things here because of some weapons I had to get. I had to do like some events like Martian Madness. The Plaguebringer Goliath was the start of a new weapon. I got one called the Arc Nova something. It was a huge charge time, but it like does massive damage. Massive damage. The only problem is if you miss, because you've got this huge charge time and you have to make sure it hits. Which led me to getting hit by him a couple of times because he's incredibly erratic. I will say this is probably the most baller soundtrack in the game so far. It is full like techno. This thing is on steroids. It's just all over the room. It's charging through you. It's dropping bombs. It even has a nuke, an actual nuke that chases you, and it blows up a good, I don't know, 4/5 of the room. Very hard. I did manage to recognize the attack and get away from it a couple of times, but this fight is something else, and speed. It is absolute steroids. Fun though, really fun and very fair. I had to use multiple weapons. My charge weapon was kind of garbage at doing various different parts of the fight, and he gets ads and all this kind of stuff. But got him down, and then moved to, again, a fight that I remember, and I probably went into this with the wrong mindset, is I remember in the vanilla game hating this fight so much, and that has not changed. Duke Fishron. This fight is not supposed to be hard. Really, I don't know. I actually don't know, but it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And in Inferno mode, it's just even more irritating. It's even more irritating. It's unbelievably awkward, and he drops really good stuff. My history with the fish bosses in this game, I hate the fish, because nearly always I've had to multi-kill them over and over again because they've never dropped the stuff I want in the first kill. I'd even found out one of the things I was missing for a weapon upgrade came from the Wall of Flesh. Can you believe this? We killed the Wall of Flesh, I think, 7 times to try out different weapons. It's like where we got the Meow Thrower and stuff. And then it was like, oh, you need this thing to craft this weapon. And I was like, where does that come from? And it says Wall of Flesh. I'm like, that can't be right. We killed it so many times. Check. I have every single possible drop from the Wall of Flesh except this one. It's the only one. I had to go down and kill the Wall of Flesh again. But did, and got it. I got some new weapons to go with it. So now I have a whole slew of weapons. But next up, according to the little wiki that I'm following, which is nice because it just gives you the next like sort of 3 or 4 bosses that you probably want to target. So we're somewhat in order without spoiling what's coming in the future. Is the Empress of Light and something called Ravager. I did 2 pulls on the Empress of Light just to see what it looked like before I finished the day. This looks bad. It looks really, really bad. I remember the Empress of Light being one of the most difficult fights I did in vanilla. But pretty and fun and beautiful, but also, like, really hard. Yeah. I don't know. So I've got these 2 bosses to do next. And then I think it's Moonlord time. And the thing that everybody's telling me, which you guys should be waiting for, is, like, this is everything up to Moonlord is the tutorial. Then it gets bad. Really bad. So maybe next time I talk to you, I'm a living wreck. So I'll see you then. Bye, guys.